Hey guys, welcome back to iKids Online. I hope you've had a really good week. And for some of you, you've gotten to go back to school this week. How was that? Did you enjoy it? Did you miss it more than you thought you would? I know when my kids have gone back, they've missed it more than they thought they would. Well, I hope that you have had a good week, no matter what you have done. And it looks like most everybody's going to be back to school in the next couple weeks. I'm excited for you. I'm more excited for your moms and dads. But today, we are going to talk about something that's a little different. Like, what happens when God doesn't answer us with the way we think he should? I don't know. Have you ever prayed? Do you remember what prayer is? Prayer is talking to God, right? And listening to God, right? And sometimes God answers yes. Sometimes God answers no. Sometimes God answers maybe later. Today, we're going to talk about somebody named Elijah. All right, say Elijah. Elijah was a prophet of God, right? And a prophet was somebody who would go and tell the Israelites, the people who believed in God, what God was saying. Okay? And he was somebody that prayed to God all the time, was really close to God, and then heard God and would do what he was told. And even the prophet Elijah was told no. So we're going to look at a couple of different ways in the Bible about how Elijah prayed and got different answers from God. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Let's go. The first time Elijah was doing what God told him to do. And he was talking to the Israelites about how they had started worshiping a different God named Baal. Now, see, I believe that there is one God that created the world and everything in it. One God that controls and does everything for us. And he's the one who sent Jesus to forgive us of our sins, right? And the Israelites believed in that God until some of them started listening to their friends and they heard them say, hey, but if you're not worshiping Baal, then you're not doing it right. So they started, what's the harm if I do both? And so Elijah was told, you're gonna be my witness to help everyone see that there is only one God. And here's what they did. They set up a challenge. Do you like a challenge? I love a challenge. And so they built altars, right? And an altar is a place where they would just come and they would put rocks, and then it was a place that they could set things on fire. And so Elijah built one, and he had the prophet of Baal build one. And they both built one, and what they did is they put some things on there, and they said, hey, you pray to Baal and get him to set it on fire. Sounds easy enough. The prophet of Baal prayed, and he prayed, and he prayed, and he prayed, and he prayed, and you know what happened? Nothing. So Elijah said, hey, it's my turn. It's my turn, but before I pray to God, I want you to go get some water. And I want you to pour it all over my altar and all over my wood. And I want you to not only do that once, but do it again and again. And did you know that water does not let things burn? Right? You've seen a fireman, right? They use water to put out a fire. What was Elijah thinking? So he did that. And then he said, all right, here we go. And he prayed. And he said, God, for everyone to see that you are the one true God, I need you to set this on fire. The prophet of Baal could not make it happen, but you can. And you know what happened? Boom! It was on fire, and the water soaked up, evaporated, and got rid of it. And Elijah showed that there was one God. And God answered his prayer in the way that he thought he would, because he was doing exactly what God told him to do. That's the first way. Let's go see the second way. So Elijah had followed God and done everything that he had told him to do. And in the Old Testament, sometimes that included war. And I don't understand all of why God used war for certain things, but he did. And Elijah had done exactly what God told him to do. And so there were some people that wanted to hurt Elijah. And so he took off running. And he ran and he ran and he ran for a whole day. And he ran into the forest because he was afraid. He was afraid of what was going to happen to him. He was afraid that he might get hurt. He was afraid that they were going to kill him. And so he ran for a whole day, and he was tired, and he found a tree and he leaned up against it and he prayed. And he said, God, I know that it would be best if I were just dead. Will you please just take me now? And Elijah laid his head back and he fell asleep. And he thought it was the last time he was going to open his eyes. And while he was asleep, he heard God say, hey, Elijah, get up. And what he did is he said, I want you to eat and I want you to drink. And he found some bread sitting there in front of him. Not only was it bread, but it was hot bread, the good kind. And he found some water, and he said, and it was not only just water, but it was cold water, like ice cold, and there was no ice around. And he ate and he drank and he fell asleep. And God woke him up again and told him to eat again, and he did. And he said, this time, this food's going to keep you going for the next 40 days. So Elijah had prayed and asked God for something, and God said no. Do you like being told no? I don't. I hate it when my mom and dad would tell me no. I want some ice cream. No. I want to go to the ballpark. No. And sometimes God says no too, but it's because he's got something better for us. Right? Like, I always wanted to be rich. Anybody want to be rich? God said no. I always wanted to own my own business. God said no. In fact, when I was in college, I had a lady who was going to let me buy her business. It was selling furniture. She didn't have any family. She's like, you're going to take over. God said no. I said, I love working with kids. Well, how about I be a teacher? No. I said, God, when I get through with college, I'm done. I'm not going back. God said no. But God, I really love working with kids. God said, go to seminary. Yes. See, God had something bigger and better for me, because I could have been a great teacher. But God wanted me to be a kid's pastor. So God had something better for me every time that he said no. And when he says no to you, he has something better for you. You just got to find it. So in Elijah, there were times where God said, yes, this is what I want for you. And there were times that God said, no, this is not what I want for you. I'm going to give you something better. So when you're praying and thinking to God, thinking about God and to God and what he wants for you, sometimes he's going to say no. Here's the challenge. Don't get discouraged. Don't get frustrated. Try to find the way the purpose that God has for you that may be different than what you can see now. I thought I was going to own a business or be a teacher. It's not what God had for me. I thought I was done with school. It's not what God had for me. What does God have for you? And whether you're 6 or you're 16 or you're 66, God has a plan and a purpose for you. You just have to look for it. It may not be exactly what you think. So the next time that you feel like God's saying no, don't get frustrated. Remember that even in the Bible, God said no to some of his most faithful people. But that he's got something even better for you. Man, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again. And I hope that you've been learning the verse of the month. If you have, send me a video of it this week, and I will send you a prize. I will see you next time.
Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you.
Verse 37, verse 30.